Greetings and welcome. I am Justavor, bringing you what I hope is constructive information on what the system of white supremacy, racism, is and how it works, as well as what can be done to replace it with the system of justice. Where do white people come from? Rudolph, suspected racist, versus Dr. Welsing, scientist, vor, grandcestor. In this video, we explore the question of the biological origins of those who classify themselves as white, according to one suspected racist, as well as the grandcestor, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Questions that come to mind are, what does it mean to be white in a system of white supremacy, racism? Is there such a thing as someone being biologically white versus having the racial classification of being white? What is the difference between the two? The making of this video came about in response to this video by this suspected racist who calls himself Rudolph from Germany. He has a somewhat peculiar explanation for the origins of the white race. Let's have a look and a listen.
Good afternoon. This is Rudolph from Germany. I am addressing today specifically Afro-American people. I might be probably the first white man, Aryan German man, who is admitting something to you.
I don't know about other vors, but I'm put on high alert whenever suspected racists come bringing a message targeting victims of racism, especially those classified as black. And this white man, Aryan German man, Rudolph, suspected racist, says he has a message specifically for the so-called Afro-American people.
I took a long time to think about this video which I'm showing you, a very short one, about the white race. Many of you, dark-skinned people, in America mainly, have had a suspicion for a very long time. White people are not really human.
Not really human? Yet he refers to them as people? Furthermore, he says that black people in the United States concept already have this suspicion. I personally have heard very few black people express this suspicion, but let's continue.
And this suspicion has been around for a long time. And like any suspicion which is around for a long time, there is a little bit of truth to it. I want to admit today to you that white people originating from Northern Europe are called not aliens, they are called Aryans. Sorry about that. My brain don't function so well today. These white people are not really human from this earth like black people are, Indian people are, Asian people are. Yes, they are all humans. We white people are actually a minority, and we are, let's face the truth, also called the tall whites.
Rudolph from Germany says that non-white people, such as so-called black people, so-called Indian people, and so-called Asian people, are from Earth, but so-called white people, Aryans, not aliens, are not from this planet. One thing he says that can be verified is that so-called white people are the global minority on this planet. So, Rudolph, where do white people come from?
Not all of us are tall, not all of us are completely white, but in general, that's what it is.
Indeed. Not all white people are considered tall, and no one on this planet is completely white. I have seen people who are very pale, but upon closer inspection, their skin always had some sort of color. This statement appears to be related to the idea that people who classify themselves as white do so because of their skin color. This deception falls apart when one observes that an albino person with two melanin-enriched parents will not be classified as white or accepted as white by white people. even if their skin color is actually paler than most white people who are accepted as white.
And as some of you may know, the tall whites are not really earthly human, but we're coming out of space, out of another galaxy.
Well, I'll be damned. White people are from another galaxy? But where exactly do they come from?
We are not human as the rest of the human race. We came here from another star.
So, Aryans are aliens after all? What evidence is there that white people are from not just another planet, not just another star, but a whole nother galaxy, as Rudolph from Germany here claims? I suspect Rudolph is practicing white supremacy. I think he is practicing a not-so-refined act of racism. Let me explain why. In order for white people to have come from another galaxy, that means they would have to have had technology capable of interstellar travel, which would be technology superior to what we have on Earth, as far as I am aware, we do not yet possess technology capable of traveling to another star system, let alone another galaxy. So, this implication implies that white people, the aliens from another planet, supposedly, are inherently intellectually superior to the original people of Earth, who happen to be people classified as non-white. The question here is, why would these alleged aliens come to Earth in the first place?
In order to control the world, we white people all have a secret code, a secret language under each other. We know, no matter how nice we pretend to be, we all stick together in order to control the other races, particularly the black race.
I have many doubts about nearly everything that has come out of this suspect's mouth. But there are some things that he says that are true and can be verified through simple observations. One bit of truth he has shared is that white people play on the same team against everyone else. No matter how nice they are to non-white people, those who classify themselves as white will ultimately do what benefits the white team. He says their goal is to control the other races. However, according to the code, the purpose of being in a race is to practice racism, and the only functional form of racism is the system of white supremacy. The logical conclusion is that there is only one race, the white race. There are no other races. Rudolph from Germany also admits that in their efforts to control non-white people, the white team has a code that they use to communicate and behave in order to achieve their goals. This sounds a lot like the definition we use for the interchangeable terms racism and white supremacy, which is a global system of people who classify themselves as white and who are dedicated to the mistreatment and subjugation of all those they have classified as not white. I wonder if Rudolph would agree with this definition. Another question for Rudolph is, as a white person playing for the white team, why tell non-white people, particularly those classified as black, this information?
I am feeling so bad about it by now that I had to speak out here on this video and admit it. White people are not human. White people, including myself, all stick together, know the truth, which they do not want to admit to you. White people are out of space. We come from another galaxy. We all know our home planet, which we don't want to reveal because we don't want to be attacked. And we have no good intention with you. We do not want to share our wealth with you. We do not want to share our knowledge with you.
We acknowledge that the white team has seized and taken control of the distribution of the majority of the world's resources, in many cases by proxy of their confused non-white victims. I contend that members of the white team will share some resources and information with non-white people. The result is usually to spread more confusion among victims of racism and to ultimately benefit the white team. But Rudolph says He feels bad, so he just had to tell us what's really going on. But does he really feel bad? Is he really telling us what's really going on? How has white people feeling bad about racism resulted in the ending of the global system of white supremacy? That's not a trick question.
You have been mistreated hundreds of years ago, and this is very, very bad. And your chances in life, to the most of you, many of you have no chance in life. You can sit and wait for work on a corner with your other friends, and work will never arrive to you. It's very, very hard, I know. And we rich people, we white people, we alien people don't want to share what we have with you, so you have a good time. This is my testimony in public. White people are for another planet. We white people all know it, and I want to apologize for everything what happened through our bad behavior to you. This is your Rudolph. Have a nice day.
He apologizes. Is he serious? Come on now, Rudolph from Germany. Tell me this. What good is an apology without corrected action? Notice how he acknowledges their savage mistreatment of non-white people, but offers no constructive solutions non-white people can use to end white supremacy. Nope. Just deal with it. According to Rudolph, white people will continue to have the power, and there is nothing us niggers can do about it. But as long as he feels bad and apologizes, we should just accept it. We asked, where do white people come from? And Rudolph from Germany gives us a proposal for a science fiction novel rather than a scientific explanation. But what is the scientific explanation based on research, study, observation, and logic that tells us about the biological origin of those who classify themselves as white? To answer this question, we go to the grandsister, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and her 1994 appearance on Tony Brown's Journal.
White people say, I am white. They are talking genetically about a genetic recessive characteristic that is a variant of albinism, not defined by Frances Welsing. Now that genetic recessive characteristic plus the minority status means that the white population can conceivably be genetically annihilated by genetically dominant black, brown, red, and yellow people in terms of skin coloration. So my thesis in the Cress theory was that all of the behavior, you see the repression of blacks, the attack on black males in particular, the lynching, the castration, the obsession with saying something is wrong with your genetics, because at a subconscious level, whites are aware we are the population on the planet that is genetically vulnerable.
What Dr. Welsing is saying here is that the biological origin of those who classify themselves as white is seen in the recessive genes, which are a result of albinism. Albinism itself is a mutation of the dominant gene that produces melanin, which results in the inability to produce melanin in organisms possessing the recessive mutated gene. As Dr. Welsing mentions, this recessive status is the global minority, which has led to an inferiority complex in those who classify themselves as white. With this inferiority complex is the fear of being genetically annihilated by the global majority who possesses the dominant melanin-producing gene. But so-called white people aren't actually the color white. Many are very pale, but not white. So how do we explain them creating a group for themselves that they call a race, while excluding not just those who possess the dominant melanin gene, but also those possessing recessive melanin deficient genes, such as albinos with melanated parents? According to Neely Fuller Jr., race, or the so-called white race, can best be described as an organization for the purpose of maintaining white control and world domination. But how is this dynamic seen worldwide?
There are variations on the theme. There's variation in terms of the particular language that the discussion is carried out in. But you never get away from, if you're black, stay back, brown, stick around, yellow, mellow, white, right. You see, and the more color you have to cause white genetic annihilation, then the more pressure that is put on you. So this hierarchy of color, whether you're in Asia, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in Latin America, Central America, this still obtains.
The logical conclusion here to explain why Rudolph and the other members of the white organization refuse to share resources or information that will end the system of white supremacy is that the purpose of being a member of the white team is to maintain the system of white supremacy. Thus, we recognize that race equals racism equals white supremacy. So, where do white people come from?
White is a genetic mutation from black. It is albinism. The earliest people, the first people on the planet were black people, and black people produced albinos, and you mix the two together, you get the whole human family.
Was that so hard, Rudolph? I understand that the initial question Rudolph was addressing is within a religious context, but the context of his response was literally out of this world. What are your thoughts on the origin of those who classify themselves as white? Should we believe science and logic as expressed by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing or old Rudolph here? Feel free to leave your questions, comments, and concerns. For more information about the purpose and goals of this channel, as well as some basic definitions for words and terms we use in reference to our work, I have included a link below to a video containing this information. If you would like an even better understanding of the code and how it works, please visit producejustice.com to order the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept by Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. There are many constructive suggestions for ending the system of white supremacy, and Mr. Fuller's codebook and its word guide act as guides to getting and keeping on code. If you feel this content is constructive and worth your time and energy, please subscribe and share to support the making of more content in the future. Much appreciation for all the Vors already subscribed. I am Justavor, and I'm still learning. Thank you for watching. Until next time.
Let me say something that gets to the very crux of the matter, and this may be offensive for some to hear who are not on the side that we're on. White people, we have been the problem for 400 years.
Say that again.
Let me say it one more time for those of you who didn't hear me. White people, we have been the problem for 400 years.